Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. The Curse of Oak Island find enemies in Canadian government. The guys on the Curse of Oak Island are facing another obstacle. The Canadian government stepped in to try to stop them from excavating on the island. However, the goal was to find underground passages to what they believe is the treasure. Unfortunately, red tape is getting in the way. Here is what is slowing down the search for treasure on Oak Island. Canadian government puts stop to Curse of Oak Island excavation. The Curse of Oak Island saw the team find a possible secret chamber underground around the garden shaft. Doe called Dumas Contracting Ltd. and hired them to come in and work as excavators to dig them down and into these possible chambers. They believe they found passageways to a possible buried treasure on the island. This led the team to have to wait because it would take 50 days to go down about 75 feet. They believed that they might have just found a series of tunnels and chambers that will lead to the mythical hidden treasure. They also believe that one of the artifacts they found had Viking origin, which dates back even more years than they expected. Now, there is a new problem. The Canadian government said that hiring excavators means that the Legany brothers need a mining permit. While they are not technically mining, it is still red tape that has once again made the government an enemy to the team finding treasure. However, not all fans seem surprised. One fan took to Reddit to write, "The Canadian government wants to prevent a group of well-documented gold diggers from blindly rebuilding a wooden shaft that goes down an unknown depth on an island where 6 treasure hunters have already died doing the exact same thing, and they're the villains in this situation." The Canadian government has interfered before. This isn't the first time the Canadian government has interfered in the Legany brothers' treasure hunting on the Curse of Oak Island. In 2021, the Canadian government shut down a large part of the dig operations on the island. This was when the Legany brothers team found several centuries-old indigenous artifacts. It happened during Season 9, when the team discovered First Nation Mi'kmaq pottery shards on the island. This caused Marty Legany to say on an episode at the time they would lay low on archaeological methods, waiting for the dust to settle. What resulted from that was just a tightening of regulations for the show. At the time, the Legany stopped regular archaeological methods for alternative digging techniques. They expanded on that this season by using new technology to map out areas under the island, which allows them to find clues and possible entry points without unnecessary digging. However, the excavation brought about a new conflict with the Canadian government. The early morning mist hovered over the tranquil waters of Mahone Bay, a delicate curtain obscuring the mysteries of Oak Island. As the sun began to rise, casting its golden hue across the small Nova Scotian island, the familiar sounds of machinery and voices filled the air. For years, the Legany brothers, Rick and Marty, had been searching tirelessly for the fabled treasure of Oak Island. They had faced every conceivable challenge: underground floods, equipment malfunctions, and rumors of a deadly curse. But now, a new and unexpected adversary had emerged: the Canadian government. It all began subtly, with a simple letter from a bureaucrat in Halifax, marked with the seal of the Ministry of Cultural Heritage. At first glance, it seemed like a routine communication, an update on permits or regulations. But as Rick read further, his brow furrowed. The letter expressed concerns over the team's excavation methods, suggesting they might be damaging the island's historical integrity. It was a gentle but clear warning. The government was watching, and they were not pleased. Rick and Marty had always prided themselves on their respectful approach to the island's rich history. They had archaeologists on site, had conducted environmental studies, and had gone above and beyond to adhere to provincial guidelines. But something about this letter felt different, ominous even. It wasn't just a warning, it felt like a veiled threat. The brothers decided to pay a visit to Halifax to meet with the bureaucrats who had sent the letter. They hoped to clarify any misunderstandings and ensure that their work could continue unimpeded. As they drove through the winding roads of Nova Scotia, Rick couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to step into a new chapter of their quest, one that involved more than just treasure hunting. Upon arriving at the grand, historic building that housed the Ministry of Cultural Heritage, they were greeted by a stern-faced secretary who directed them to a conference room. As they entered, they were met by three officials: a tall man with graying hair, a woman in her 40s with an expression as sharp as a razor, and a younger man whose eyes darted nervously around the room. Mr. Lagina, the tall man began, extending a hand. "I'm Thomas Carrington, Deputy Minister of Cultural Heritage. This is Ms. Evelyn Driscoll from the Department of Environmental Protection, and Mr. Simon Perrault, our legal advisor." The initial pleasantries quickly gave way to a tense discussion. Carrington wasted no time in outlining the government's concerns. "Oak Island," he began, "is a site of significant cultural and historical importance to Canada. Your continued excavations, while impressive, have raised concerns about potential damage to undiscovered artifacts, potential burial sites, and the island's fragile ecosystem." Rick leaned forward, trying to keep his voice calm. "We understand the importance of preserving Oak Island's history, Mr. Carrington. We've taken every precaution, hired experts, and followed every guideline. But we also believe that there is something on that island that could rewrite history. Isn't that worth investigating?" Evelyn Driscoll, who had remained silent until now, interjected. "What concerns us, Mr. Lagina, is that your methods may not be sufficient. The island is a delicate archaeological site, not just a treasure hunt. We need more oversight, more control." Marty sensed where this was heading. "Are you saying you want to shut us down?" Simon Perrault, the legal advisor, leaned in. "Not shut you down, per se, but we are considering new regulations that would significantly limit the scope of your operations. All excavations would need to be approved by our Archaeological Council, and any findings would be subject to government review before they are made public." Rick's face tightened. "That sounds a lot like you're trying to control what we find." Carrington's smile was thin. "We're merely safeguarding Canada's cultural heritage, Mr. Lagina. After all, who knows what secrets lie buried on that island? Secrets that might be of interest to more than just treasure hunters." The brothers left the meeting with more questions than answers. Why was the government suddenly so concerned about their search? What were they afraid they might find? And why now, after all these years? Back on Oak Island, the team continued their work, but the atmosphere had changed. Every dig, every discovery felt like it was under a microscope. Strange occurrences began to happen. Permits were delayed, new inspections were ordered, and there were rumors that government agents were quietly visiting the island when no one was around. The Lagitas decided it was time to dig deeper, not just into the island's soil, but into the motivations of their new adversaries. They hired a local historian, a former journalist named Claire O'Connell, who had a knack for uncovering hidden truths.